2020 has come to embody more than just 12 months on a calendar. It was a year where everything changed, from where we work and learn, to how we see ourselves and how we continue to evolve as people, communities, and a country. For Preservation Massachusetts, 2020 began on a busy and positive note. We were inviting full applications for our new grant partnership with the 1772 Foundation, providing $100,000 in matching preservation grants to historic buildings in Massachusetts. This new opportunity was met with tremendous enthusiasm, with over $700,000 in requested funding. It certainly was a highlight and bright spot for us this spring when we awarded grants to 14 projects from all over the state, from a small library on Cape Cod to a National Historic Landmark of modern architecture. This first grant round was very uplifting, and we were thrilled when the trustees of the 1772 Foundation continued the program for 2021. Funding is key for preservation. It all seems to come down to money. The response to the 1772 grant told us what we already knew. We need to find more funding for preservation in Massachusetts. Our legislative efforts to increase one of the most effective funding tools in the state, the Massachusetts Historic Rehabilitation Tax Credit Program. In the second half of the year, our lobbyist and Preservation Massachusetts collaborated on efforts to add $10 million to the annual cap and extend the sunset date to 2027, making the economic case for the credit and the constant demand outweighing the supply. Despite a lot of work and focus, the credit did not make it into the final bills, but we are not dismayed and are redoubling legislative advocacy efforts in 2021. It was in the midst of legislative advocacy that our 2020 began to take a turn. In Washington, D.C., with partners from all across the country, we saw how quickly the impact COVID-19 would make on our lives. And after a successful series of meetings for National Preservation Advocacy Week, we were just able to make it home to Massachusetts in time before everything shut down. We quickly had to pivot to working remotely, our circuit riders not being able to meet with people in person, and our offices now being in our kitchens and dining rooms. One of the biggest successes of this year was our Preservation Conversations, weekly opportunities for individuals to connect, learn, and ask questions of the PM staff. It quickly took off, from having only 2 participants on our first call to upwards of 200 for a discussion on historic stone walls in June. We were pleased to be joined by partners from Mass Historical Commission and other guest speakers, many of them board members, and from other partner organizations willing to share their experiences, insight, and expertise. You can find all of our preservation conversations on our YouTube channel and website. Our 2020 awards, though extremely different, was a great success. Most of the spring and summer was spent trying to figure out how to transition a 30-plus-year-old event into a meaningful virtual celebration of preservation. And we think that it worked. Our 25 awardees were honored with a 2-week multimedia celebration that enabled us to tell even more of their incredible stories. Our heartfelt thanks go out to all of our sponsors and all who participated in Preservation Live on October 23rd. We all knew that the world would not magically change at the stroke of midnight, January 1st, 2021. But that is not a bad thing. We have learned a lot about our organization, ourselves, and our supporters. But we also realized and acknowledged that we have a whole lot more to learn ourselves, and we need to listen. The histories we preserve and share through projects, buildings, and landscapes have not always been reflective of the whole American experience. And we, as an organization that advocates and educates about those histories, should be more diverse in our work, our collaborations, and our efforts. We could not do this without your support. Whether you tune in for a preservation conversation, attend a conference, or ask for a circuit rider's assistance, we thank you for working with Preservation Massachusetts. And we thank all of our members, donors, and sponsors for helping us keep the lights on for another year. Thank you for supporting us through 2020, and we look forward to sharing our successes from 2021 with you next year. And thank you for believing in preservation.